I mean, the way we were doing it was there'd be, used tires in the garbage can. So we were always the guys to run the stuff out of the garbage can, whether it's used tires, bent bars we'd take home and straighten, just because the amount of stuff I was going through. Like I said, we were literally taking clutch plates out, and I'd seen my dad scraping them on the cement when we're at tracks and stuff. Jet stepped it out. He's the freaking gnarliest dude right now, and he looks so methodical when he rides. Like, he doesn't look like he's just pinned and getting sketchy and sending it.
Yeah, but with all that being said, you're probably going to smoke him on a two-stroke at Washougal.
If I can keep from getting lapped by Jet when I'm on the two-stroke at Washougal, that'll be like a win for me.
New Red Bull deal, that had to be something pretty exciting. I feel like that's probably one of like the pinnacles in our kind of world, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Red Bull deal coming through, and super stoked. It's a quite a bit of different program for me than I've been in the last few years. I'd been doing Supercross and all that, and still doing a bunch of social media stuff with vintage bikes, pit bikes, a little bit of it all. So I was. We did Red Bull Straight Rhythm and just a bunch of weird races. Like you said, we were at some of the WSXs and all that kind of stuff. And the Red Bull guys kind of, reached out. They're like, hey, we think it's cool that you're doing a bunch of different types of races on different types of bikes. And it worked out nice. Yeah,
when I saw the deal get announced, immediately it just made sense to me. I was like, dude, okay, yeah, this is right, And I think that it's funny, I don't know if you've experienced it, but when it feels like whenever someone gets a Red Bull helmet, there's like a bunch of people that are like, wow, that's so sick. And then no matter who it is or what you've done, a bunch of people that go like, how the hell did he get that helmet? Like, dude, Hunter, the Berriman. So there's I think a vision that Red Bull has for athletes that are much bigger than where they are at the time they get signed. But when I saw that you got the deal, I was like, man, this makes perfect sense. You're kind of becoming almost like the Danny McCaskill of moto in a sense, and I think that we've got Berriman in the Red Bull landscape. You've got Berriman that's doing his thing on the free ride imagination, like he's taking it to a crazy level there. And then I think with you, it's a similar vibe, but just in the opposite direction, like riding every type of bike, like, doing these unique builds, and you've got such a unassuming, cool style. So I'm really excited for just where you're going to be able to take this in the future.
Yeah, super stoked. Like you said, there's so many different aspects to it that we're kind of doing with the bike builds and all sorts of different bikes and, the different events. And it's not just about, doing Supercross and all that. There's such a following on social media for, all this different stuff. Like you said, Tyler Berriman's so gnarly, man, doing all those huge jumps and, Danny McCaskill, like you were saying, like there's so much cool stuff to be shown that, there's so much potential in this sport that hasn't been shown yet. And I want to help, show it.
Yeah. And I think the social media thing's interesting too, because like you get sent to me a lot. Like anytime you're, like the RM80 video, the 150 video, like you have a really good habit of being able to go viral. And the people that are sending me your videos are people not in moto. It's like there's people from different sports, different motorsports. There's like, downhill mountain bike guys. You're kind of touching a much wider audience than moto as well. And I think that like maybe the traditional motocross and supercross fan might not even have perspective of like the kind of reach that some of those clips can get,
Yeah, absolutely. Like you were saying, like it's not just one crowd watching. I've got kind of all age ranges watching it because I'm doing anything from a Z50 to a 450. So it's kind of cool that it's not just one section of the motocross community kind of watching this thing. We're trying to, build this thing so that everybody's involved. And I just want to show the love of riding dirt bikes. You don't have to be on, a new 450 to have fun on a bike. You can have just as much fun on anything you got. And I've enjoyed trying to show that. And I'm having a blast along the way doing it too.
Yeah, dude, I mean, that's the vibe, It's like just pull this thing out of a shed, make sure it's got some oil, the tire pressures are done, and there's some gas in that bitch, and let's go, And I think that's such a vibe to kind of capture, and like I said, it sort of spreads even further than just like the general moto community too. And I think that, when you're working with a brand like Red Bull, then that's kind of what they're chasing,
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the projects that they've got coming up, too, just, riding all sorts of these bikes at sick locations with sick dudes and all that stuff. It's really going to get ramped up because this is just the start of it. Like, we signed that deal pretty recently. So, coming in this next little while here, I think everybody's going to be surprised on some cool stuff that we have in the works.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how does a Red Bull deal come apart? Like from start to finish, when do you start thinking that you could get a Red Bull deal? How does the ball get rolling? How did you find out? I mean, because it always feels like there's a pretty cool story that comes along with something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ever since I was a kid, that's always the dream. I mean, it's everybody's dream. So I kind of knew that I was taking a different route than most guys, just doing the racing and, just Supercross or just motocross or whatever the case is. So I knew that there was, a good thing going for me doing a little bit of everything on all these different bikes. And I had talked to some people before, and they're like, oh, Red Bull reaches out to you. You don't reach out to Red Bull. And, if you want to be on Red Bull, typically you got to be on a team, like Red Bull KTM or something like that. And, that was kind of, I knew there could be something there if somebody could see the worth of this social media stuff. And basically I did the Red Bull Straight Rhythm this year, and I had some of the phone numbers from getting invited and contacted and some of that, and I was hitting them. I was like, what do I got to do to make this thing work? And like I was just saying, they're like, you got to be on a team, you got to do this and that, in order to kind of be under our Red Bull stuff. And then a couple months later, they're like, let's hop on a call. I think you might have some value doing a little bit of all this stuff. So I was like, hey, I'm ready.
Dude, it's so cool. And how did you feel when you actually got the phone call to find out that you were 100% like you're a Red Bull athlete now?
Oh, I was stoked. I mean, we'd been talking, at one point I thought that it was going to get pushed through and signed in January of this year. So that was a long time ago. And then, there's so much that goes into a Red Bull contract that it just kind of kept getting pushed. And I kept having all these teams ask me for Supercross and stuff. They're like, do you want to ride for our team? Like, what's going on? Everybody on social media was just like, yeah, why aren't you racing Supercross? Why aren't you racing Supercross? I couldn't really tell them, So, it took a little bit, but I was so stoked when, I finally got the call that it all went through 100%. Cause I was just like, man, if I don't do Supercross this year and this doesn't come through, then, it's going to be a weird season for me. But, I was super pumped. Everybody around was super pumped. I mean, the whole Northwest is backing this thing and helped me get to this point. So we're all pumped.
That's awesome, man. What did it feel like to put the Red Bull helmet on the first time? And I don't know, does it feel different?
Yeah, I mean, those guys brought that thing over, and the first time I saw it was at my house, and I pulled that thing out, and I was like, dude, this has always been the dream, and it's such a crazy route to get to that point, not the traditional route. So it was definitely an eye opener on different routes, different courses to get to your goals in life.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.